Call to order at 5:59. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mike Womack.
Here.
Patty Drew. Here. TJ Hecox.
Here.
Ryan Dietrich.
Here.
And Jen Sonner.
Here.
Okay, we do have a couple edits to the agenda. Under 9.2, it's going to be integrated programs instead of guidance. Then we're going to be adding 9.3, attendance report.
Attendance report will be what?
9.3, under the superintendent report. Has everybody had time to review the minutes of October 21st?
Yeah.
Take a motion to approve our October 21st minutes.
I'll motion that we approve our October minutes.
We have a second.
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then motion to approve our agenda with the changes.
I will also motion that we approve our changes to this month's agenda.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Do we have any public comment tonight? Bring us to 5.0, financial report. Anything to report on? There's all.
No.
Yep.
Next month, you'll see that we did receive our first quarter timber revenue. But that'll be in, we did get it in October, so it will be in, we got it in November, so it'll be in next month's meeting, but that did come through. So be looking for that.
Was it a good one?
It was down significantly.
You good? Okay, 6.0, principal report.
Quick on me already tonight. Just gonna update you on a couple things here. And the first one I wanted to update you on is teacher evaluations and where we're at in that process. And I've just started those evaluations, and I should have them all wrapped up by the end of December for the first round for the formal observations. And then in the springtime, there'll be two. Each teacher that I will be evaluating this year will receive 2 informal observations, but those are starting to go. And earlier I passed out, I just wanted to just give you a look in terms of our evaluation system and cycling what we're doing. We started this system last year with Frontline, so we're utilizing what we already have. And so Abby put this spreadsheet together, and we now have all the teachers in the system in terms of what their evaluation cycle is, which is every 2 years by the state of Oregon. And so I believe it was last year, I think it was 8 teachers were on that evaluation cycle. This year there's 7. As you'll see, it goes in order by the years on here as well. So down here, this will tell you what year it is, and it goes down. So next year there'll be 13 of the 16 teachers will be evaluated, and then the following year 6, the following year 10. So it just gives you an idea of the cycle and what they're doing. But it is every 2 years that our certified staff do get evaluated. But that's where we're at right now. We're just starting, like I said, we're starting to go on it, and And I'll just keep you updated as the year goes along with the evaluations and how they're going. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. I think it was said earlier, somebody asked about, there's two of them that have question marks, and one is the counselor, Natalie, and she's technically certified, but we're trying to figure out how she falls in that evaluation, or how to make sure that she gets evaluated to her position. And then Gail Cameron, who is our in-house sub, she's not technically a classroom teacher. She doesn't have a classroom teacher, but we're still trying to figure out how we want to evaluate her within our system. If you have any questions, please let me know.
I have one question. Are test scores and proficiencies part of the overall being certified?
Eventually, yes. Eventually, because our evaluation system, which we use, the GAN is a model focused on certain areas of teacher professional development. So as our teachers continue to grow in their practice, which learning and planning, instruction, classroom management, there's specific categories that our teachers continue to work on. So as they continue to build those skills, it ultimately will hopefully affect our testing scores, if that's what you're asking.
But I was wondering if the actual scores have any weight in
No, they
their
don't.
result. Okay,
Sorry.
thanks.
Any other questions?
So you said that eventually they would, or that?
Well, it's as our teachers, let's see the best way to put it, as our teachers continue to, I guess, like I said, build their skills and be proficient in their teaching practice, the better our kids learn. And so I think ultimately you'll see our testing scores improve over time as they continue to build their classroom management, their instructional approaches to to teaching, curriculum use, stuff like that. If that makes sense. If that's what you're asking, TJ.
I mean, that makes sense. I guess that's how it should happen, right? As they're continuing to learn,
Yeah.
the kids should be learning better too. But I guess if it's not happening, then it would show on your, I mean, how else do you evaluate if the kids aren't passing? Then it's like, okay, obviously something's, I would think that would correlate pretty closely on that.
Yeah.
And then the only other question I had with Gail, she's been, more than 5 years since evaluated, even though that doesn't, 5 years or more since last formal evaluation.
She hasn't been in the district for 5 years.
Yeah, she's been just last year as our in-house sub.
Okay.
So this is the start of her second year as our
Okay,
in-house
that
sub.
threw me off, so. Okay.
Any other questions?
Does she have a teaching certificate?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah. Good through, I think 2029, she's licensed. And moving on to just an update on our MTSS with what we're doing right now. And we continue to build we do have our teams, our MTSS team. And we're working with that team in our also our grade level teams in our PLC work to continue focusing on specific students that are in high need of intensive supports. And so we spent the last few weeks identifying who those students are, and that's through our district-wide testing, observations, meetings, and so we're to the point now where we have a specific list of kids at all the different grade levels, from elementary all the way through high school, that our teachers are really working as a team and as a group to help basically build plans for these students. And so we're going to spend the next basically a month and a half, December and January, building plans for these students as a team and as a whole. So all the teachers are on the same page in terms of what's happening with the students. And that could be just stuff from that affected them from absenteeism to behavior issues, academic issues. And so I really I like seeing what's happening with that, because it really has the teachers engaged around these students, and really wanted to support them as much as possible. And so we're looking at tier 2, tier 3 interventions, which are really, you get into more intensive supports. What is it that our students really need versus just continuing just to move them along, right? But we're actually putting stuff in place. We're putting plans together to help these students and to bring them up. That's what our MTSS team and I put PLC groups, but it's our grade level groups are really focusing on those specific students' grade.
Can I jump on top of that also?
Yeah.
So that's the work that, Principal Scott's been working on. And then we also have the other side, which is about 6 or 7 or 8 of us in another room working on the MTSS behavioral data that Mr. Scott and the team put together, and Mr. Ray, our union president, just joined that group also. And so we're taking all that work that we did last year in conjunction with the Swiss data as well, looking at these behaviors and identifying some areas of need, I guess I want to say, specifically for students, and utilizing that actual data and really formulating that data and putting it together on a spreadsheet that we're trying to come up with a common sense language spreadsheet that's universal for our district. So we can take this information as the data team, as you would call this group here, the MTSS group, as a data team that we can push this data out into to the rest of the teachers to work with that information, kind of in the conjunction, as you just said, with academic stature of some sort here. So we're working really hard on building this structure for our district from 2 different angles. You've got more of an academic base going on over here, and pardon me for saying this, I said I wanted a bandage for the district until we can build an actual MTSS and RTI system for the district for the year, because I know the union talked about it also. So we're literally putting a bandage in to help our kids academically, while on the other side working with the behavior aspect, things that we've been trying to change the culture here in the district, putting systems in place with these tier levels that we're just now defining. We've gotten school-wide understanding of what this looks like for the school-wide, that's a definition of MTSS, but now working in tier 2 and tier 3, identifying what those look like so we can actually take examples of what we see in our data and come up with solutions on how to work with this and then make improvements, and then go out and put it forth and then get that data to come back and make adjustments as needed. So I'm just being honest with you, and I've sat in your chair for about a decade, George, and in the teacher realm, and we haven't done this stuff here in the district. And I think we're very open to saying we've never built this ourselves. This is based off experience, talking and getting information and learning as we go along. And it feels authentic. I don't know how you'd say, George, but it feels very authentic and fresh and exciting. So just want to make sure they hear the other side also beyond what your side and the other district side.
And it's fun to do. I mean, I'm enjoying this process to see it actually come together and build it and grow it. And so it's something that we are excited about and looking forward to just seeing as we move forward with it, where it's going to grow and where it's going to take us. Some good stuff ahead. Any questions around that?
What does MTSS stand for?
Multi-tier system of support.
Okay.
And
Some schools have PBIS, which is positive behavior intervention support. So it just kind of depends on
So
use them interchangeably.
So whenever you hear the MTSS or PBIS, it's basically a school-wide system. When you hear RTI, which is you're going to start hearing a lot more about also, all 3 kind of work together. That's response to intervention. So it's a way to respond to specific situations that take place. So they're level 1, level 2, level 3, which we call tiers. It's how to respond to those moments, usually in a positive mindset, not punitive, but positive. But there is punitive moments, so don't get me wrong. We aren't getting rid of that by any means. So,
Which to go off of that, which is kind of on my list here, is we have some professional development opportunities that are coming up for our elementary teachers through the early literacy grant, that 2-year grant that we have, and some of that focus is going to be on RTI. So we will have some right now. We have some of our elementary teachers who will be going to a training in New Orleans that will focus on early literacy and the science of reading, but then we'll also have a couple that will stay here for a Portland conference, and that focuses on MTSS, RTI, and so we kind of have a split team that are doing 2 different trainings this spring to continue to learn about this and how they can bring it back and we can apply it here to Jewel. So we're excited about what's happening with this and the grant base for everything, which is good. But So that's what we have with our elementary teachers right now. So there are those professional development learning opportunities that are going to be here in the spring. And yeah, we're going to continue to build that. And then we have some college campus visits actually coming up this week, this Thursday, Friday. We're taking a group of, there's 9 seniors, going to take them down to University of Oregon on Thursday, and then do a big college campus visit down there. And then we'll go up to Corvallis that afternoon. We'll stay overnight, and we'll do Oregon State's going to host us for a college campus visit on Friday. We're actually going to do a lab. They're actually going to do a big, in one of their programs. They're actually going to have, we're going to be part of a lab that it should, Ms. Alfred has more information on that, but kids can actually get experience doing a lab with college kids, and kind of just gives them exposures to the, to the universities and all the programs.
Is this just our kids that are going, or is this going to be
For
statewide?
us, it's just our kids.
Wow,
Yeah.
cool. That's great.
Okay. So we have nine kids going.
So it's really one-on-one, so that our kids are going to be focused.
Yeah, we're not going to be with 300, 400, 500 other
Yeah.
kids. It's going to be just our kids. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Yeah, so we're looking forward to that. And again, this is getting our kids out. We're getting them, it's exposure to college. And some of these kids not really spent much time at all or ever even been on a college campus. And so we're hoping that can get their mindset and get them into college next year.
Now,
Really, it's a reason why we're doing this.
are all of our seniors going?
9 of 11.
9 and 1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Okay.
But yeah, that concludes my report for right now, unless you have any other questions. Just kind of give you an update on what we're doing.
And that'll bring us to old business, which we have none at this time. So new business, 8.1, ESSER funds.
Okay, so I just handed out to everybody, just a visual photo. This is just a real small looking playground per se. And as I'm going through ESSER funds, I don't know if everybody's privy to what ESSER funds are. Those are those COVID relief funds that was spent for opening up the grand hallway, as you would call it, in the new gym area. And then also for the curtain that divides the room also. That was the two main components. It was also utilized, part of it was going to be utilized for the towers, which everybody knows how that wrapped up. So so those funds were here. They were already expired at this point. So they were going to expire at some point. We utilized a lot of those funds for the, the sensory and calming rooms. That's over down in the secondary wing, I believe, or elementary. I can't remember which wing it's in, but it's a calming space for students who need a break of some sort, whether it's just kind of a mental calming aspect. You go in there, it's defined in different stations there right now. It's something that I think a lot of us have talked about having a need. Sometimes some of our students struggle every day to go through certain moments of everyday life here sometimes. So they go through, and it's just an avenue where our council will have an area for them to go in there along with some teachers, just to take their minds off of the school day a little bit, just for maybe 15 minutes, just to get some break here. Another aspect that came to mind when I'm going through this process of how do we utilize the rest of the funds, because we didn't have a lot of time to get rid of these funds. It was quite a bit of money still left over in our coffers here for this. So I had discussions with a number of individuals about looking at something that's more ADA compliant for anybody, any students, even community members out here at our playground area, but also for sensory aspects. We have nothing. If you go out to our playground, everything's climbing, everything's off the ground. We had a facilities report come through, which you're going to hear probably in January. I'm getting our facilities director primed and prepped for that board meeting with you guys. So he's going to come in and present the whole findings by I can't remember who came in for this one. Whoever did the reports for the ADA compliance for the district. And we do have some infractions with our ADA compliance on some things. One of them was in our budget message to you last year about the stadium, getting that ADA compliant. But you go out to our playground and there's nothing. I do mean there's very little. The swing set, that's not really compliant, to be honest with you. If you can visualize it, you climb up the big thing and you slide down 3 slides, you got the ramp over there, but there's nothing. And so I had proposed putting in something that's very much for sensory purposes that had to align with the dialogue from the ESSER funds. And so I'm just going to read the paragraph that said that the funds can be used to incorporate sensory play elements into a school playground, allowing for the purchase and installation of inclusive equipment designed to stimulate various senses like touch, sight, sound, and movement, making play accessible for children with diverse abilities. It includes features like textured surfaces, musical instruments, spinning components, and visually stimulating panels. And you can see that that addresses a good chunk of this here. We also talked about keeping it within reason of our other playground, because obviously keeping students in the line of sight and safety is number one in my mindset. So we're working with the playground company about potentially installation, whether it's over in the undercover area, you've got the playground area with the basketball hoops, and behind it is a large chunk of, what do you call it? Cement sidewalk area there, which could fit right there. And we also thought it could also fit on the other side if you added a little extension of the fence around, so they couldn't, no students could run outside that fence area. But it also allows a little bit more calming space, if that makes sense, away from the main playground area. There's all this jumping and swings and people flying off slides. And so I'm bringing this to you to get your thoughts and whatnot. Looking for approval of this. This would come out of ESSER funds. It's about $68,000, just a few $100s over that. But that would help bring in our funds all the way down to completion for the ESSER funds. And this would, again, play in conjunction with what I'm concerned about partially is our ADA functionality, that we do not have anything ADA compliant with our district for our kids at all here. And this would be an avenue that allows them to have a little bit more remote area away from the main playground area, but still meet all the sensory requirements and have full accessibility to actually get to the items themselves.
Do we have anything like this for indoor facilities?
We have, I mean, we do have some sensory stuff. That would be the sensory room I'm talking about. Yeah,
Okay.
we have something where we have like little like ball pit type thing. You've got some sensory sand areas you can play in. I mean, there's a whole wing of things over there in that classroom that our counselor.
So this, what I'm trying to get at is they don't always have to go outside
No,
to be
no,
this, so that we've got stuff for
This would be
inside.
one way to go
Okay.
outside, and then we have the one that's inside.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in our old Avid room, if I remember correctly, from years ago.
Okay.
I guess what I'm trying to say is we were at a point where we were also looking at building a consortium space or something to that effect here in the district, because we were shut out with the spaces that warranted in Astoria. And that's how many students we had in 1 year. We were looking at 4 or 5 students, a number of them with autistic needs, and we don't have any resources here. And so this is another way I look at it and go, we have the funds. Social emotional aspect, I think, I'm just gonna say we as the district over my time here have kind of poo-pooed that avenue, and I think it's become more universally accepted, I think. That social emotional is a real deal. It really is a real thing that kids go through and adults go through. So that room is in that space for that very reason, to add another aspect for safety and security for kids. And I got thinking for the playground as I'm out there wandering, looking around over the summer going, we don't have anywhere for our kids. We got this little area over here, that's pre-K. It's very, very small. But we don't have anything at all like this. There's no sensory touch, visual, there's nothing. And then the spinning component is, again, you can get someone with assistance from that aid, whether it's wheelchair or not, you get somebody and help them in there. And it can be something they can utilize and they can spin with their own hands with other kids. Doesn't take up a lot of room, but it is, it does need, it is a capital improvement, I guess, which going through ESSER didn't really think so much that it would be a capital improvement with specific pieces coming out of this, but they said, yes, this would need board approval if we did this. That's what I'm bringing in front of you.
Does that include install then?
It completely, that's everything. So it's, the design playground is $27,731, concrete borders, $5,400, playground installation is almost $11,000, and the shipping is about $4,000. Site excavation, if they have to do work, they don't know exactly what it would be, but about $2,700. And then the turf, trying to match the greenish color of the grass out there as best we can. The only other option they said would be the bark chips that we have. And I said that would be ADA compliant with wheelchairs and whatnot. And they said, yes, it would. But I have a hard time.
I
seeing
can't
that.
imagine that.
Mhm.
Pushing my mother in a wheelchair, no.
So there's the extra amount for $17,472 for the turf. But that would be total $68,367.40.
What's the time frame?
Whenever we're good to go.
How long does it take for the install? I mean, so we're looking probably,
They told me that this organization, the Park and Player organization, would be the ones, and we went out and looked at other places and bids and all that stuff. Park and Player would be the ones that would install it themselves. It made it sound like it would take just about a couple weeks most,
really?
and they would do all the work, yeah.
Do these funds need to be allocated now and then spent later, or is there a time frame on that? Pretty much.
Well, if I'm gonna be transparent, which I'm going to be transparent with you, I didn't think this was a capital project. So I thought it was individual pieces that we did, so the funds have already been spent for the ESSER funds. And ESSER organization is okay with all this, they said, but they just need board approval to make sure it's okay. And so that's when I'll be being transparent, looked at Tammy and went, oh, because I never in my mind did I think 4 items like this underneath the certain amount would even recognize as a capital project. And so it never entered my mind at all. And so then we go through this discussion with ESSER and they come back to, oh, including the security cameras in the bus. So we entered a couple security cameras in the bus. I didn't think that was a capital project at all. But they said that was part of the deal as well. And the yonder pouches I thought were also. I thought individual yonder pouches were like $20. That's a part of the capital thing. And so all 3 of those. But this is the one that would be painful. So that's where it's at right now. But ESSER does approve of all, the organization
Yeah,
approves
we
of.
did get the approval because
Yeah.
they really wanted the ESSER funds. They said anything that has to go with social, emotional, they wanted to see that. And we had to spend a certain amount for unfinished learning, which we did. So we met all of those different criteria that they had for us. And then when it came, we were claiming it and they're like, oh, where's your board approval? And like.
And we've been talking about this, I mean, a bunch of us in the staff here about these, but individual pieces. And that's why you never heard about it, because I thought this is just individual pieces. This isn't a capital project. It doesn't need to be approved by the board, an extra step. But so that's why we went through this phase and went, oh, joy.
So is ESSER money all gone now?
It's all completed, yeah.
Okay, so we've spent,
It's all gone, yeah.
And they did approve that. They actually thought this was a good use of funds.
so you just need a motion?
Need a motion approval, and if not, we've already paid for it.
But are we specifically mentioning playground equipment, or how do you want this motion to be?
Just like it says.
I would say,
Like what says?
Motion to approve the ESSER
Sensory
funds for
playground.
the Century Playground.
So it's just the playground equipment?
I would say sensory play elements for the school playground. I mean, that's how I'm reading right off their ESSER, because it is sensory play elements. We've added 3 elements. If you constitute that as a playground, but it's part of the playground.
Well, I make a motion to approve the ESSER funds for sensory play elements, playground equipment.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it. I do want to know where it goes though.
Yeah, and that's something we're discussing over, again, over in that general.
There's a reason for that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Spend it again.
Well, I do apologize. That's one where I seriously did not even know what to think. Between ESSER, or excuse me, the yonder pouches and the school cameras, and then this, did not even think capital at all. It didn't even seem to fit the bill for me, but that's where it's at.
Yeah, brings us to 8.2, OSBA elections. If anybody has looked at that on the pay schedules. Essentially, OSBA hasn't raised their dues, I believe, since early 2000 or late 99, so they're recommending that we, of course, they're recommending that we agree to pay more. Is there any discussion on that?
Yay. Budget cuts right there.
Yeah, seems like an awful long time to go without any type of budget adjustments. Does seem like it does kind of hit them a hard time when they're trying to tighten the belt with everything else. You know what our dues were last year? They the, 2,500, does that sound right?
For the OSB, I could look that up for you. I'm not
I
sure.
was just trying to,
The OSBA dues,
yeah,
yeah.
Well, where it says, where numbers of district members 1 through 11, and it gives a number like under 100 all the way to over 25,000. Is that enrollment? Is that what we're talking about? And would we fit there?
just remember, 100.
So yes. That I don't know. District number, that would be my assumption under,
Yeah.
you're talking under student body numbers.
That's what I'm assuming.
That's what I would assume also. Yeah, that would be my assumption.
So we've probably already paid our 24 to 25 dues, haven't we?
Would you like me to look at my computer?
Is there-
I can go look at my computer and look.
I guess I don't have that off the top of my
I
head.
know we paid a lot to OSB, or like a lot of different, for policy updates and all of those, so I'm confused.
Paying for a lot of services.
No, I'm with you, I'm not including that.
It seems reasonable with a tiered
Pay
increase,
for a lot of services
and
throughout the
they
year.
do have a lot
We
of
pay a
services.
lot of money, not just this, to OSBA.
That's all the policy updates, all the trainings we do.
Is that included with our dues though, or is that extra like?
No,
that's
Dues,
extra.
and
Right,
then that.
okay, that's, yeah, so that's what, well, I'm good with either way, if it's,
And half the stuff they legislate for it, we don't get anyways. All the state funding they raise. That is a
I
kind
just don't know, I mean, I'm gonna ask the obvious question, like, what do we get out of, like, what?
Not much.
essentially it's your union dues, right? I mean, it would be like paying your union dues, but we're still paying for all the other services that they provide with the trainings and,
So I did,
So
Policy
besides
updates.
trainings, like, what else do we get out of? Or like,
I
what-
mean, I'm thinking like policy.
legal advice, right?
But the policy updates, we pay for those too. I mean, when I'm thinking about it, we pay for that as well. So every time we get this back in, it's every year we have to reapply for those, or pay for those things every year.
We pay for them, but we're also required to implement them.
Yes. I will say OSBA, though, when we do our policy changes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we do our policy changes, you send those all off to them and they take care of all those things. They put them into our website.
They put it on
clean
the
all up.
website.
Oh, I understand. Okay, so they're providing like an administrative service on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question. I was reading through their changes in their bylaws and it says that they have these standing committees, one of which is the Legislative Policy Committee. Does our North Coast caucus have any representatives on that Legislative Policy Committee? Seems like it would be relevant to the Habitat Conservation
of.
Plan.
Greg out of Vernonia.
That'd be a good question for me to ask them. I don't know exactly. You're talking about, you're talking about the board policy change you're reading. on.
Yeah, and I said, oh, look, they got the standing committee for legislative policy. Boy, that could really impact our Habitat Conservation Plan activity,
Mhm.
get us more visibility to those who couldn't really be aware of it possibly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll ask Vincent, because Vincent's gonna
Okay.
be here Friday, but I'll ask him. He might have an answer who that is.
who'd you think it was?
I think it's Greg out of Vernonia. Is it Greg?
What's Greg's last name?
Starts with a K, I believe.
Yeah, but Greg doesn't sound familiar, you know?
Greg.
Hmm.
It's about your build.
Okay, I'll ask him.
I can try to look that up.
I know he's talked about it a lot. I know he's out of Fredonia, I know that much. One of their board members.
Okay, I'll ask Vincent here.
Okay, so how do we feel about raising our dues for substantially not getting much, it sounds like? So, seeing some head shaking, so I'm kind of thinking we're looking at maybe not adopting. Do each one of these need a motion?
Yes,
All right, if we do
I
it.
have those three highlighted.
So on the first, I make the motion, resolution 1 amends the OSBA dues and schedule for do not adopt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Resolution 2 creates the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus and designates a seat on the OSBA Board of Directors Legislation Policy Committee. Scanned into that a little bit, and this is a new position,
It's new.
right? Any discussion on that? I read a little bit about that, but I read online, I can't recall.
I'm not in favor. I just don't think we need new positions to be created for what?
I'm with Patty.
I mean, if you want to be a part of OSBA, be a part of OSBA. You don't have to be special to be a part of OSBA. Let's make one for gray-haired old ladies. I mean, come on. I just
We
don't,
could do that tonight, you want? We can-
I just don't think that we just need to be creating positions for people that, if you're qualified, run for the position in regular. You don't need a special. So I vote no.
Well, it expands the board of directors. It
Yeah.
adds a position.
Yeah.
And,
For what?
For what?
and I'm not in favor of it either, actually.
Yeah,
So I did find that, we did pay $250.25 for the OSBA district member dues for the 24 year.
we fell under that.
So we're number one.
And then there's
That's
also,
good, I guess, we're the cheapest category. It'd be a lot
Well,
worse.
that was for the 23,
That's-
24? Is that what that was for?
it should have been for this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because their dues come in July, don't they? Yeah. So that's just dues, and then we pay other fees on top of that. Right.
Yes.
And
this is what
everything we
paid so
get from
far.
OSBA, we pay extra for.
We've paid, if you want to know. We've paid,
so with the new schedule, our dues would be 500 next year then, if we, well, we've already done.
We utilize their legal advice, don't we?
Pace legally, yeah.
Now, do we
More
pay extra
training
if
than
it's some,
anything. Recently, that's what we utilized the OSBA for.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that and then the policies, obviously, getting those policy updates are vital for a district. Keeping all superintendents in Oregon privy to what's going on with these changes. And then also when we're done and you guys are wrapped up with the policies, after you make the approval, then at least it goes right back to OSBA. And like you said, they take the administrative side of it and they change it into our website and whatnot. Like, for example, the head lice policy, I went on there and tried to reference some things to families and whatnot, but the old policy's still there, even though we approved it at the last board meeting. But that's on there to get that all completed.
now, is that covered under our dues or do we pay extra for those?
My assumption, that's under the dues. I don't believe we pay anything for anything extra
And
for that.
same with legal services?
Correct, we don't pay anything for that one.
Okay.
We do pay, we do.
Oh, for
pay.
PACE we do?
Oh, for PACE, oh, I'm sorry.
For the policy?
For OSBA, we pay, yes.
For policy.
Oh, we
The
do?
legal
We
advice
pay-
with PACE, so much a year is included usually, right? And you pay on top of that.
Because I never see any invoices coming in unless we paid something up front that I'm not privy of. And I use them fairly often.
For PACE.
And I don't see things coming through. I'm signing off for those in the last 2 years. Unless it's encumbered in all of this.
They do keep a running total though, that we can see like how much it would have cost us. Like they do like there's a place where we can go in and kind of see like, hey, this is,
Analysis cost,
yeah, this is kind of how much, you know, yeah. But we do pay for the policies and that kind of stuff from OSBA. So is that a no on the second one? Oh, okay.
So motion will be for resolution 2, creates the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus, designate a seat on the OSBA Board of Directors Legislation Policy Committee. Is no, do not adopt. All in favor?
You mean,
Aye.
To not
Do not
adopt.
adopt.
Do not, yeah, no, do not adopt.
correct.
Do not.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Resolution 3 adopts the proposed amendments to the OSBA bylaws. I don't believe there was anything crazy in those. but-
No, I mean, the expansion of the board for the Pride Caucus is part of that, but it will only pass if
Right.
the first motion is passed. So other than that, I read through everything and it seems pretty routine. A lot of cleaning up of language and just making it more concise and specific.
Okay, is there any more discussion on that? We'll make a motion for resolution 3, adopts the proposed amendments to the OSBA bylaws with a yes, adopt.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now we have 2 candidates running for the same position.
Another.
Two different.
Two different positions? Oh,
By
okay.
themselves.
Okay. So do we don't need to vote on that then, do we?
Well, let's start that, yeah.
Oh, are we want,
So they want us.
I will make a
to vote
motion
on it.
to,
Do we vote on them? I mean, some stuff we don't vote on everything they're doing, just some stuff, right?
for these members to be elected in as a OSBA member or board.
Well, disregard that prior comment. I think I was misunderstanding something. Okay.
So there's 2 candidates running for 2 separate positions. They're running unopposed.
Right.
What position numbers are they?
15 and 20. Under the picture.
Oh, yeah.
I will make a motion for Nancy E. Thomas and Christy Claudia. Kotke. We vote for their appointment to the board. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Fun stuff.
What's that?
They seem well qualified.
9.0, 9.1 HCP update. Corey.
All right, so when I made the agenda, put that on there, we were supposed to have our court case last week, virtual with, let's see, forget, Judge Peterson is his name. Same name as mine, obviously spelled differently, not related, but Judge Peterson, he had a family emergency, so that got postponed. So that's going to take place in a couple weeks from now. What the meaning of the case is, so we can go ahead and go forward and make an amendment to our complaint. That's what that was for. Because actually, and I keep thinking, because I contacted each of you individually outside of the board, just gave you a call, but I'll make it a public notice also here at this point. So the original case that we had came back with the judge making no decision in favor of the district move forward. Felt he didn't have jurisdiction to move the case forward. So he denied our request moving forward for the lawsuit. And basically it was the way that the complaint was formed, he didn't feel that he had the rights to say that the district would receive any specific support through funding sources if we were to go forth and seek discovery with the Oregon Department of Forestry. And so therefore, we're going to take a look at the complaint that we had initially, and we're going to ask the judge, can we amend the complaint to tailor it more towards what we're trying to seek here? And so that's basically what the purpose of the court case was for. And so that's going to be in a couple more weeks from now. The other aspect is with the election has changed the nation. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, after that night, the HCP is actually more of a federal thing. So it has to go through, it has to be approved by the federal government. And at this point, currently, the state of Oregon is looking at, this moving forward right now, including our governor and whatnot. And with mills already starting to shut down, and as you heard, our timber work for Q1 did come through, and it was substantially less from what it was a year ago. But having been only in the chair for a couple of years and talking to a few of you over these couple of years, we do have these ebbs and flows sometimes, so we don't want to panic yet until we see where this is going to go for Q2 and Q3. But again, with the election taking place, this will have a different avenue it has to go through, the HCP, with individuals who are probably going to be appointed who are Republicans. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not trying to play politics, but currently he's trying to go through with the Democratic situation. You know how it turned out for us with our legal verbiage that we put together, trying to get something in as a House bill, which we did, and it didn't get any approval with the Democrat Party and quite a bit of approval with the Republican Party, but that fell flat, didn't have a chance to go. They didn't kill the bill, as I told you before, they moved it out of session. So we could always rebuy that again with Representative Javity and Senator Suzanne Weber if we want to go that route. But this is another area, it's just something that pops in my head and I'm having conversations with. Okay, at the Oregon level, this is going to go through. But at the federal level, obviously that's the one that's going to be the one that is the nail in the coffin. Can we have those discussions? And so that's my mindset right now beyond just this case. There's a few other things kind of stewing underneath right now, but I don't know how to give you an analogy other than what I've said to some other people. We're on a river right now. We can't get out of the river. There's a waterfall there, and we're moving towards that waterfall, and we see all the rapids and other things we're trying to maneuver through, and there's the other side. And is it possible we can still get to the other side? And I'll say there's always a possibility. But it's still a lot to do. There's a lot of work to be done. If we are not able to move forward with the court case after a couple of weeks, I mentioned I'll connect with all of you guys, and we're going to get together in a session, if you approve of that, with our legal counsel and have a discussion about what we're going to do from that point forward, in regards to the case, because the door is getting closed more narrow as we move forward, and not knowing what was going to happen with the elections. If it had stayed blue, if I'm just being transparent, I think we would be done. Not the district, but I'm just talking about the lawsuit would be done. But it didn't go that way. And so therefore politically, I can't believe I'm having to talk politics through all this stuff. That's not what I'm really into this business for. But politically, I think we have an opening that we should explore at the federal level. So that's a discussion I'm having now, which I did not see happening a number of weeks ago. So here we are. So that's my update for you guys for the HCP. Is there anything you want me to express anywhere outside of this room and with moving forward to this, or if you do have something that's not for public session, obviously let me know so I can go that direction. But that's currently where this is at right now.
Would we have any discussion with our attorney? Maybe executive session prior to discussing moving forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah.
Yes.
So for example, if this court case, if they allow for discovery, I think you know what that means. It's what we were trying to do anyways, which is just go out there and seek more information to prove what we're trying to prove. But if the judge comes back and says no, then yes, I would ask for immediate.
Yeah.
Can we get together for even just virtual? Can we all do that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
And discuss, because as I expressed to some of you already prior, we went into this together, and if we're going to get out of it, I want to do it together.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
100%.
It's been 2 years. It's been a long adventure, and I don't think we're done, but
It's been a long 2 years of having this looming in the back of our minds that, and I'm not willing to give up that fight.
as a human being outside of this position,
Yeah.
I don't do that either.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? Moving to integrated programs.
Okay, so this is a requirement, and so a meeting requirement that I provide a report to the board, and at least I apologize, I wanted to make sure, I said integrated guidance, if I'm being more accurate, ODE, Oregon Department of Ed, Oregon programs in the report, that's why I want that adjustment made in there. So when we're talking about integrated guidance, when you said fun, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is the integrated guidance book. So even though I was not in the administrative position, I built the thing when we did the first iteration. I was tasked to build the thing, so I'm very familiar with the integrated guidance. It continues to morph and change, and what I mean by integrated guidance, it's a huge number of integrated plans that every school district in Oregon is pushing forward with, and they try to put it into one tidy package and make it easier to follow. And I'm going to be honest with you, I find this to be more tedious and more time consuming and more frustrating. I'm on public sessions, so anybody can check that out than what we've done before. So it involves a continuous improvement plan. It's called the SIP, and that's been around forever for all districts. We do not take part in all of these. So I'm going to mention the ones that we are. High school success, student investment account, the SIA, which you've heard multiple times about. That's our largest grant, usually around $200,000. We took part in the early indicator intervention systems, EIIS, last year, but it was just a small $340 grant, and it didn't have any benefit for us. So I'm asking that we don't continue that one. The early literacy success school district grant, that is a big one. That's the one, again, how we're paying for some of our trainings for our staff, elementary staff, as well as dyslexia training. So instead of having one person on district site trained in multiple formats of dyslexia, we're having all 6 of our teachers trained. And then career and technical education, Perkins, the CTE grant. And so that's something we've also been very much using with our POS, our program of studies for construction. And so I'm to give you an update where we're at. And so they have a number of 3 questions here. I brought all 6 questions I have for a different part of the component, but I am going to go through these, and I apologize. I do need to give you an update with this, so I'm going to read these to you. If you need clarifications, I understand the ed lingo with all the acronyms can get very confusing, so please let me know. So the first question is, as you review your progress markers, and what it means is we have low, medium, high, and fully implemented for our district. And there's a whole list of things, kind of like Division 22 standards. What are we doing in the district? So as you review your progress markers, and I make adjustments every quarter for these things for the last 2 years, and now this is year 3, and reflect on the plan implementation. How do you see your progress contributing to the outcomes and strategies? And I'm just reminding you, our outcomes, to start with this, and I mean years ago, whether we were doing this or not. I'm saying that for a reason, whether or not we were doing this. I want you to understand why this has been in here for this long now. So our outcomes, number 1, the Jewel School District will provide a positive, comprehensive school-wide system of supports. So I think you heard us say MTSS. That's where we're talking, that meet student needs, monitor student progress, and evaluate the results. Again, you think about counseling, the sensory room, the sensory playground, again, trying to do something that encompasses our whole district-wide. That's one outcome. The other one is number 2, all staff will be able to collect, analyze, and interpret student learning data. I've said this multiple times again, STAR assessments. And I hope I don't bore anybody with this information, but this is exciting stuff for a lot of us in this district here. To interpret student data to be used in educational planning that will effectively and equitably target student academic needs. So how do you know what to fix if we don't universally collect the data outside of just a teacher in a classroom? We've been foaming at the mouth for years to get this going. It's going to take some time, but we're making strides towards that direction. And number 3, outcomes. Staff, families, and community members understand their roles and responsibilities regarding our partnership. Again, expressing that very clearly, especially in our meetings with families, in working towards student academic and post-secondary success, as well as physical, social, emotional health. That's why when I first got on this position, you saw me push so hard for the school-based health center. Again, it may not be everybody's key, but there is a need in the community. And for some of us who live this world every day and see what our families need out in this district versus what, maybe specific individual may need, looking at all families in this community. So those are our outcomes and our strategies. I won't go through them all, but MTSS systems, evidence-based instructional strategies. Once again, the reason you heard Mr. Scott say New Orleans is that's one of the top early learning strategy, instructional strategies in the nation is being conducted right there in New Orleans. And it has a reputation for it. It's already been sold out at the hotel right there. So we're already a little late getting in the game. But our teachers are going to come back with quite a bit of information. And you and I talked this morning about what will that look like when they get back here in the district. Are we done talking about it, or are we going to continue talking about it once they get back from that area? I talk a lot, I apologize. Community research-based assets. And so I'm gonna go through some of those in here also about building our structure here in the system with other people's help, not just close the doors and let's do it inside the building. That doesn't do any good. I added something on the agenda here that I'll mention in just a little bit, which is why we do what we're doing. You're gonna hear a celebratory moment, one that I just got 15 minutes before walking down here. And I was like, whoa, that's exciting. It's a win, small win, but it's a win. It's getting some notification. And then recruit and retain highly qualified teachers and staff. It's a challenge out here. It's a challenge out here when you don't have people banging down the doors to work in the district. But then again, you and I look at each other and say, well, why do people not want to work out here? And remove the word location. I don't want to hear the word location. If this school is really pumping and moving, location really won't be that big of a deal because people would want to be here. And then the last one is create summer experiences to enhance student learning opportunities, which I'd like to expand to not just summer, to expand all the way around. So I slightly apologize. I'm going to go through these a little bit more. I'm sorry, stop one more time. The other one is, because you're going to hear me say the LPGT, the longitudinal performance growth targets. And so we went through this initial round. There's a lot of data here and putting it together. And this was presented at one iteration of the school board when we first put this through. So if you're new, this may be pretty new. But we put targets of where we want our students to be. For example, 4-year cohort graduation rate. So what is our graduation rate for this year? 89.8% is what we came up with when we initially put this out 2 years ago. And we're going to see if we're going to meet that. The embargoed results for last year are going to come out sometime later this week. So we'll see. We put 89.7. You're literally talking a student. I mean, if you have one student go off, this thing plummets, or the student just raises. So it's a little frustrating to work with this. 5-year cohorts. 9th grade on track. Noting that when a student is going through 9th grade, are they on track to graduate as you go through the year? And then the other two are 3rd grade ELA proficiency, which again, we're pushing very heavy. The state of Oregon, the governor put forth that information about early childhood literacy, making sure our kids can do what, which is read. That is the framework for a lot of what they do. Math is right up there, but I personally believe reading is number one. All our children can read. And then regular attenders, which is attendance, consistently attending in the district, which again, I've expressed a number of months ago how challenging attendance has been across the nation, let alone in Oregon. And I just was down in Pacific City for a superintendent retreat with the Northwest Regional for 2 days, And the same thing, they showed the numbers currently before the embargoed ones were just released, which I'll share with you in a little bit. And it's hard, it's a struggle. The attendance level we're working with nowadays is not what it was pre-pandemic at all. And I have the old comparisons from 2021, and things have changed in the last couple of years here. So discuss at least one outcome where you have seen progress in implementation. So the progress that we're making with our district is a total, this is my verbiage, so if you disagree, let me know. The progress that we're making within our district is a total school culture and improvement shift. 2.5 years ago, there was hardly any systems in place, and this includes academic, behavioral, and procedural. Continual administrative and staff changes in the prior years has led to a lack of consistency, lack of structure, and the general basis for how our systems work in Jewel. Currently, and through the work with the integrated programs and beyond, systems are being built, including our code of conduct. I keep mentioning that. The code of conduct is now in its 3rd year. And I hope you understand how important that is. And we're still refining it, and it has consistently been followed, yielding good results in conjunction with an RTI aspect that's already built into it, which we're now opening our minds to. Oh, okay, we already have this in there as we're building our RTI component with our MTSS team. Our MTSS systems, school-wide systems, are also being built. One of our largest outcomes to show great progress is through our MTSS work with students, staff, and community around behavior expectations. The work we've done to build the system has taken some time, but with our implementation this fall and data work through our Swiss program, it's opened the doors for further district-wide growth. We are now working with student behavioral data, which has moved us into working together on data teams. So again, we're opening doors here. This has also opened the door to working on identification processes for tier 2 and tier 3 developments for more supports for more individualistic groups, and then very specific tier 3 for very specific individuals who need that extra guidance and support from the district at a higher level. Overall, this work is transforming our district into becoming a more data-informed district. That's very important in my head, very important. Which directly relates to one of our outcomes of providing a positive, comprehensive school-wide system support to meet the needs of students by monitoring student progress and evaluating results. So that's one I'm going to set off to the state tomorrow, and it does need to be posted on our website. And Abby, by the time the new year rolls in, she's going to have a brand new looking website that's much more streamlined for the Oregon Department of Education stuff. I've been working through on getting that more easily identifiable and easily to follow for our community and our families. Question 2. I might be going backwards, I'm sorry. There we go. Where have you experienced barriers, challenges, or impediments to progress towards your outcomes and strategies in your plan that you could use support with? Discuss at least one outcome where you've seen challenges or barriers to implementation. So you may laugh at me when I say this, because I'm going to celebrate what I'm not going to celebrate here in just a moment, because I don't think the work is at all done. But I hope that makes sense. But I want hopefully it makes sense when I'm all wrapped up here. The biggest challenge that we face as we progress towards our outcomes and strategies is a consistent lack of school attendance with a number of our students. Messages to our students and families, community members, is that the relationship to school and school attendance go hand in hand. Attendance matters is a phrase that's been utilized many times over, including in school attendance campaigns and in the messaging to families and students during conferences and messages home. Our longitudinal, our LGBT numbers can become greatly affected due to student absences. Our regular attenders, meaning attending school every day, and four-year cohort graduation rate have a specific percentage that we have targeted for, and one student in such a small school district can shake that percentage up in both directions. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. ODE hears us mention that all the time. One student who does not attend or fail to graduate due to attendance has a great effect on our graduation rate, and that goes in the paper. And for individuals who don't take the time to just do a little bit of research, will go, oh my goodness, look at your graduation rates. What are you going to do? And I'm sitting there thinking, if you don't live in the district and you don't see, it looks like a great headline. But also, same thing, if it says, Jewel School District, graduation rates off the roof, that could just be the effect of one student. But you celebrate that. That makes sense. You celebrate it. But you also don't want to see the other side of it. So the same applies the other way around. If all students attend and achieve passing marks in their classes, the district numbers will bounce by a large amount in the positive direction. Our district will also at times have families move into the district and are not familiar with their school culture, or in this case, a changing culture. And for some, it takes time to be acclimated to our small rural school culture, especially for some students who come from a much larger school district. This can be a change for them and for some of the families. And again, not having our process and procedures over the years, I'm trying to be very transparent as much as I can, it can be a struggle because our families don't know where to look, don't know what to follow sometimes. And the district is scrambling because they don't have their stuff in place. And so that's where we've been really trying to change this, but it's taking some time because there's a lot to unearth in this district over the last couple of years here. Let's see here. Okay, the challenge is not to only have the student invested in their own education, but also to have the parents invested in their children's education as well. I will say that 100 times over. I'm going to say it one more time. The school culture is changing. Let me see. The challenge is not to have only students invested in their own education, but also to have the parents invested in their children's education. The positive for this is, as stated before, the school culture is changing in regards to the process and procedures within our systems to better support our student body, and communications and expectations are working on becoming more transparent. The work that we're doing with our integrated programs is a large culture shift for our district, but one that feels more welcoming, structured, and inviting overall for all within our school community. Every student matters, and we're making a large push to get this message out. And the final one, this is the 24-25 school year only for this year. Review your actual metric rates compared to previously created LPGP. Reflect on the progress. Describe how activities are supporting progress towards targets, and if any shifts in strategy implementations are planned for the future based upon the current progress. And include specific metrics and target types in your reflection. So I did the best I could without confusing too many individuals with all this data. It's really confusing to read. One of our reflections is on our 4-year cohort graduation rate, which we had set a target for 89.7 for last school year. So our activities to help support this specific metric have widely taken shape through our PLC times on Wednesdays, in which we work to build student support through student success teams in conjunction with our effort building MTSS, again, very early stages of our MTSS team. So during PLC time, teachers identify areas in which to focus to help maximize student outcomes during their specific instructional times with students. And that's been a struggle, again, because the systems haven't been in place. So we're working through that currently right now. Through professional educator discussions and in conjunction with local level data, again, getting fresh new data district-wide, first time ever, we just started receiving that about a month ago or so. Changes, and obviously local level within the classroom, changes in evidence-based strategies may take place. This leads to an increase in professional development in relation to MTSS and the tier levels of learning and behavior, as well as looking at past data and strategies to see what is working and what is not. Extra educational assistance supports are also put into place, as well as monitored supports for students and IEPs and 504 accommodations, special education. So we've made a really big push, and for the first couple months of school, and we're not done. We're still going to continue with those discussions. Some of the calendar work that you were talking about earlier. Our work has struggled at times due to attendance issues with some students, but the commitment to continue to build equitable full school attendance policies and systems to help support all students in attending school are very much part of the work that we are building. As systems continue to be structured and built, our tier 1 level of support has been defined. Working on tier 2 and 3 now. We're working with an attendance TOSA. I have a meeting with this gentleman. I told him Wednesday or Thursday. He's got some time in his schedule. We have enough student data for attendance and tardies that we're going to add some extra support for these very specific students within the district. And that's going to be through our MTSS team collecting this data and then looking through resources and strategies and pushing it out to our team to see how we can help support all kids, but in this specific case, attendance issues right now. So that is a report. I had to make an annual report through this information. You will be getting plenty of more information because the integrated programs is going to be in April for all of this for the next 3 or 4 years. I think it's 3-year cycle. So we'll be giving quite a few more reports and updates with this as we go along. And I hope you don't mind us using MTSS, RTI, and PBIS because you're going to have to get used to it. We're going to be talking about it a lot. It's STAR, and I believe there's another component called STAR also for attendance through ESD that I was interested in. So if you need some sort of acronym form, whatever, I'd be happy to put something together to give you guys because it will get confusing at times with all these acronyms.
Yes, please.
So,
You need a glossary.
Yeah.
you cover.
Well, it sounds good. At least the information is getting, we're able to target things a little bit now. So that's good.
Well, it's making sense. I mean, it's the idea of why is this happening? And then you sit there and you usually let the most, I don't know how to say this, but the most powerful mind in the room or the most experienced person in the room starts pulling some things out, and so we start falling out leadership, but then there's no structure behind it. And then it falls when that person leaves, or if there's no accountability, that individual, usually a teacher or TOSA, is put in that position to take charge. And if that TOSA doesn't have anybody pushing behind, talk to the administrators, there's no follow through, and everything just collapses. So I will say we are where we've been before at multiple points in our career, but all at the same time now. And again, I still feel like there's a lot of now what moments. The now what moments are what you said, the exciting moments, because it's like, okay, we could just structure some of these things. ESD says you can't have an RTI team that's also your MTSS team. And I said, well, but we're at full capacity. We don't have more staff to build another RTI team. And so we're kind of going off a little bit on our own on some of these things where we're sitting thinking, yeah, we can also handle this as well. We're gonna be able to build this. But utilize as the battery to feed out to the rest of the staff to take on the challenges of the data that we're consuming. So we're turning more into more of a data team as we get this going, but it's gonna be a while to get to that point. But right now we're building the structure to make the system work. So.
And our staff are on board.
And to be honest, I invite anyone of you to come into one of our Wednesday times, just give me a heads up so you know that's what we're doing that Wednesday. But if you want to be involved in one of our MTSS discussion teams and see what we're doing, I'd be happy to have you in there also. So,
So that's you do those on Wednesdays, every Wednesday?
although I think this
1 to
Wednesday is,
3 on Wednesdays.
I think this Wednesday's a little hiccup. I gotta look at my calendar, but yeah. It was just gonna be one Wednesday a month, but as we got going down this, we thought, boy, if we're gonna make change and effect in this district, this is gonna be every week. Because we would do different type of PDs, but in this week, delegated to once a month, but now it's turning into every stinking week we're doing this. That's how important this is gonna be.
Okay, that'll bring us to 9.3 for attendance report.
Okay, so.
Perfect.
So after what I just said, I want you to understand, I'm gonna celebrate this moment because I think we should celebrate it. But understand, we can do much better. We can do much better. So, you know, Margaret, information that just came out, I haven't even seen it. The only reason I knew about this is because of the ESD reached out to us and said that the attendance data, so I'm gonna go through the districts from Astoria, Banks, Beaverton, Clascanite, Forest Grove, Gaston, Hillsborough, Jewel, Napa, Neocony, Stuka Valley, Rainier, Scappoose, Seaside, Sherwood, St. Helens, Tiger, Tualatin, Tillamook, Benoni, and Warrenton, Hammond in the Northwest Regional ESD region, the Jewel School District, by a lot has increased their attendance from last year from 55.4% to 80.7, a 25.3 increase. The closest is Astoria with 12.7. So I was reached out to by the head of the Northwest Regional and said, and this is what I like because I know verbiage is getting out there. They said, whatever is going on in Jewel, we want to commend you because we sense that there's some sense of positive work taking place out there. And this is just another one that's just coming down the line that they're recognizing. So this is twice in the last month and a half that I've gotten things from the ESD saying what's happening in Jewel. I didn't put it on here, but 3 of us also went to the Resilience Clatsop County training. It was a training to train trainers. And what that is to work with understanding your kids and adults that you work with. What do they do to be resilient in tough situations? And then to train others to see it, you don't train them how to be resilient, you train them to see how they are resilient during specific moments. And so that's a training that I've been involved with, our counselor, Natalie and Shelley Alford. And through that process, we're talking to them about what we're doing in this meeting. And I shared this at a staff meeting. But a gentleman who's worked for Astoria for a long time said, wait a minute. He said, is this a Jewel? And I said, yeah, it's the Jewel School District. And he said, this is not the Jewel I'm used to hearing about. He said, this is what Jewel's doing. And he said, yeah, the whole room just erupted in applause for the district. And I said, I looked at Shelley and Natalie, I just said, don't get cocky. Don't get cocky, but it is a positive moment. So anytime we express how positive, the same thing about the state testing you mentioned, even if it was, you know, talks about people who can drop out from not having to take the test, you celebrate those moments because you need those to cling on to different things here. So when this came through, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool, but we still have some work to do. It's exciting, but it's still some work to do. So anyway, so I just want to make sure you heard that information before it gets out in the papers.
Good job. Keep that.
We're working hard. It's
Should put it out there that we're paying the students every day to show up.
no, it's not happening. It's not happening.
Okay, audience clarification on anything? Any acronyms you guys want to know?
All of them.
Okay, that'll bring us to 11.0, Board of Directors time. Director Womack?
Not much, just thanks for all the work you guys put into that. You know, things takes time. The report's done, staying on top, but thanks for the heads up. That's all I got really.
Dr. Drew?
I just want to say, Phil and I attended the Veterans Day Assembly. It was wonderful. I have never had our kids behaved so well. I was I was dumbfounded. There was no interruptions. None of the kids were out of hand. It was wonderful to be able to sit through the whole performance and not going, oh my God, keep that kid up or take him out. It was great. It was great.
In PSS, behavioral expectations and announce before that, make sure you all go through this week, so.
It was
Good to hear.
great. I mean, even Phil commented, he said, these kids are absolutely wonderful.
It's good to hear.
So I was very pleased, very pleased.
Mr. Peterson couldn't be there. Matter of fact, I think it was the training
That was RCC training.
that day, but when I caught up with him later about it, I told him, I said, it's my second year here, and I said, that was by far the best assembly
It was.
since I've been here.
Mhm.
Everybody was glued in, there were no issues, all the kids were dialed in, and it went really well.
Yeah, it went really, really well. And just confirm what Micah said, thank you for all of your hard work with all of this stuff. It's gonna pay off. It's gonna take a little bit of time, but it's gonna be well worth it in the end. So I support you 100%. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll follow up on that too, but, yeah, continue the good work. You know, it's good to see it's a lot going on and there wasn't a lot there to begin with. So you're really having to pick up a lot of pieces. So that's, gonna be a challenge, but I think you guys are doing good. Try to pop into a Wednesday meeting one of these days, but see how that's going. It'll be good learning for me anyway.
Make sure you're there sorry,
Good.
I said, make sure you're there at the beginning when we do our Blue Jay Yay, and just, there's some things that we do. It'll be fun.
What time is that you?
1:15.
On Wednesdays?
1:15. We go till about 3:10, and then staff cleans up and stuff like that, yeah.
I attended the sports awards. I missed the Veterans Day. So like cross country, and I know Coach Walmack's football season was a tough one. But it was, I think you mentioned, you know, the heart that those kids had to continue out their season with very, very few players was pretty impressive. So hopefully they can build on that. And hopefully the kids, the numbers keep coming up. I mean, the basketball team, middle school, I've seen both games now, so that seems to be pretty promising, and kids look like they're having fun. So that's all I got. Director Dietrich?
To piggyback on everybody and their comments, Principal Scott and Superintendent Peterson, you guys deserve a pat on the back for sure. And then please extend our thanks as of the school board to the attendance report. That's good stuff, right? And it's a good way to stand out far and long amongst everybody else. It's amazing. Just to throw my own little jab at that, but I can't help but to think that our cell phone policy has something to do with that. So, anyway, that's all I got. Thank you.
Director Sonia?
Mostly want to say how much I appreciate the momentum I can actually see in your reporting now. That's very exciting and tangible results. Like you say, we got to grab onto it and celebrate it and keep working, of course. But I mean, the proof's in the pudding, and that's really great stuff. And I'm very impressed, and I like your overarching concept that people are going to be attracted to Jewel not for any other reason than our excellence, and it has nothing to do with our location. I like that.
I think location or money. That's right.
Or money.
Yep.
You mainly our attendance record, you know, so.
That's a start.
Bring 'em in. Okay, good. If we're all good, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we're not done.
Nope.
That's the page.
Oh,
Sorry, I was gonna throw a quick second in there.
See,
Sorry.
sorry, we do have for items for a future meeting, 12.1 policy update, November 24 packet. And 12.2, superintendent evaluation phase 3, which will have our training with Vincent Adams coming up on
Friday.
That's this Friday. That's
Friday.
this Friday, 4:30.
I have 5:30 for me?
I thought it was 6 to
5:30.
8.
Is that-
Okay, I thought-
Mike's volunteering to come early.
No, I already have another meeting, so I'll try to make sure I'm here on time.
See, and I thought it was 6 till 8:30. So what time is it?
It's 5:30.
It is
I got
5:30. Okay,
That's right.
okay.
If not, we're gonna be crazy for half an hour.
Maybe send out a reminder.
I'll
We did get one.
Oh, yeah, but in my brain, I'm
Thank
thinking.
you.
Yeah, senior group
I'm sure
calendar.
it's on my calendar.
If you accepted it, it'd be
I did.
Okay, that'll bring us to 13.0, motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
I'll make motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Adjourn, 7:19.